Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you for being here. I'm super excited. I'm like well over 70 subscribers now, which is pretty cool considering we're like day 35. I think my goal was one subscriber a day for the first 60 days. So we've exceeded that and I appreciate it. I've met met some really cool authors, supportive. I cannot wait to get to know people in the AuthorTube community. I've kind of been catching up lately on some of the AuthorTube tea videos and that sort of thing, and I'm a little bit scared, but I'm also excited. It sounds like what happens on AuthorTube is also what I've experienced on Facebook, so I'm probably not going to be shocked. At the same time, my plan here is do my thing and talk about the words and books, and anybody who's interested in any kind of collaborations, book tags, all that, I'm up for it. I'm up for anything. So please don't be afraid to introduce yourself. I will always subscribe to your channels as well. I'm excited about this platform. I think it's really cool. I've met some cool readers already. So that's neat. Anyway, today, what I wanted to talk about, if you go up there somewhere, you can see my pinned video. I think that's what they would call it. Probably not. Featured video, maybe? I don't know the lingo yet in this world. But the main video, how I got here, my crazy journey, that will tell you a little bit about my background. But for those who have not watched that video or are new to the channel, I am actually a therapist. That's my day job. And people kind of think it's funny that I go by Crazy Inc. and my brand is built around the word crazy. And there's a long story to that. And it all goes back to my days as a marketing director in a mental health agency. But I did later on go on to become a therapist. And you will never see me make a video about world building because I suck at it. I'm terrible at it. Settings and world building are like my weaknesses. I'll never make a video. But one thing I can do is make videos about characters. I am great with characters. My characters are never one-dimensional. They're always quirky. They're always kind of different than what you read in a lot of indie books. And I'm proud of that. And the reason that my characters are that way is because of my work as a therapist. I meet people and like get into their heads. I mean, that's my job. I learn what makes them do the things they do. I learn about human behavior. I learn about goals and hopes and dreams and some of the things that people wouldn't even tell their own spouse. So as the therapist, I'm really privileged to hear these private stories that kind of connect us and make us all human, right? Well, a lot of that goes into my characterization and into my characters. So my plan for this channel, I was thinking, I think it was Alexa Dunn that did a video about, be different. What makes you, you? Well, what makes me, me is that I really do have a psychology background. And what makes my books a little bit different is that they're very rich on what's going on in the head, the characters, motivations, all of that. And I started thinking about a tool that I use a lot with my writing that I don't know that a lot of people would. I know a lot of people will use a baby name book, for example, to name characters. Great idea. Or, you can just use babynames.com or whatever when you go to name a character. But with me, a thing I use with characters that I don't think a lot of people think about is the DSM-5. For those who don't know it and who aren't familiar with psychology, the DSM it's basically like the Bible to therapists, shrinks, whatever you want to call us. We use that because it lists all the diagnoses of any kind of pathology, mental illness, whether it be anxieties or clinical depressions or personality disorders, and their comorbidities. Basically, you could have, there are multiple axes that a diagnosis will come in on. Somebody could be clinically depressed, but also bipolar and also have psychotic features, for example. So when I go to build a character, not that all of my characters are crazy per se, and I do not use that as a bad word. I use crazy as a good word, like fun, wild, zany. I don't look at the word crazy as bad. I view the word crazy as great, like unique, eclectic, original, me. So when I use that word, it's never meant in a bad way. I mean, I care about mental health. Obviously, that is my career. But I tend to gravitate in real life, but also in my job, obviously, to people who are pretty complicated. And that sometimes means they have a mental illness going on. To me, a mental illness does not have to stop you. It does not have to define you. A label is just a label. Everybody's who they are, and that's all good. But when I'm building a character from scratch and I know nothing about this person, I just know that maybe, yeah, I want her to be a truck driver and I want him to be a guy that lost his license when he was 19 after killing someone in a DUI accident. And I have to build their basic characters and what might be up with them. Well, PTSD might be up with them in that particular example. So I will turn to the DSM-5. Now, I'm lucky because I know a lot about the basic, like, things that would make, the behaviors and stuff like that someone who has PTSD might have. But I was thinking, for writers that don't have that psychology background, that DSM-5 is just as handy as it is for me when I'm actually going to try to diagnose a client. Before I go in to give a clinical supervisor any kind of idea about where I want the treatment plan to go and their diagnosis, I need to really step back and look at, do they meet 7 of these criteria? Is this person, suffering from panic attacks? Do they ruminate, meaning keep thinking of something over and over? What are their symptoms? And that's what you need to have 7 of a certain symptom in order to be diagnosed with a particular label or pathology. So I was thinking, for writers, though, you can use this a whole different way. Nobody's checking. There's no legal end or whatever for an author. But it sure as hell, when I read a book with a therapy background, I can tell whether or not an author's done their research. I cannot tell you how many authors will have a therapist in their book or their client goes to therapy and they do things and I'm like, no, that would never happen. That's not legal. That would be a mandated report. That's not how that pathology works, those kind of things. So it occurred to me, DSM-5, what a reference for writers. People may not think of it, but you want to use it. So I was thinking, I would be more than happy if you guys are interested in going through some of the maybe more well-known or maybe less well-known pathologies that I have personally used in my writing with characters, and how to put them in a book in an authentic way. Another thing I can talk about all day is the client-therapist relationship, the law around the ethics involving therapy and client relationships. I get a lot of questions from authors that are just author friends that are like, hey, if the therapist was 40 years old, would he be able to prescribe if he'd been in school the whole time? How many years of grad school would you need to be a doctor of psychology versus someone like me with a master's degree in psychology versus, say, someone who's maybe working as kids as a court-appointed advocate, in a school where they may have a bachelor's? Or how many years of education would a school guidance counselor have? Those kind of things. You guys ever have those questions? Come at me. It's fine. I'm happy to answer them, and I know the answer quick. But when you are building a rich, thick character and you want to put some sort of thing, nobody likes, well, maybe they do, but I don't, the character that's just like inside the box. Like, just everything's perfect. Like, just people and readers can relate to people that have quirks because we're all human, right? And we all have flaws and we're all a little bit, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. So when you want to write those things, if you don't have like firsthand experience with it, that's got to be challenging. And I think it's something I took for granted because literally my first book out there was called Crazy Like Me. Right behind me, you can see the cover. I was way into it back then. Now I'm, having to remind myself to buy the book, but literally right there. And it's about a therapist and her group of zany clients, and they do group therapy. And so, of course, I was using those. I wrote it while I was in grad school, so that made it easy. And as I learned the pathologies, I'd say, oh, great, let's put somebody with dissociative identity disorder in this group. And then I started writing a book about someone that had Stockholm Syndrome. Come to find out, that's not even a thing. Well, who knew? Stockholm Syndrome is not a thing. Okay. So the DSM is a great place to check if you're not sure. 7 characteristics is what a person would need to be diagnosed. So if you go and you flip through, and I'll have to grab a copy because I will do a couple of segments on this. I'll do one on, clinical depression and what that would look like in a character. I'll do one on PTSD because it's really common. I've had a couple people ask me about multiple personality disorder, which is technically dissociative identity disorder. The DSM changes as time goes on, and I don't, multiple personality is not the current name they're using, but it's basically the same symptoms as someone with DID. And I did actually read a whole series on a character named Lola that had DID, and it was based off of a true client that I saw. But regardless, I can do videos on each pathology if you guys think it would be helpful. If not, okay too. But I just wanted to put it out there that I've got the psychology background, and it's probably the best way that I can contribute in a way that's not that other people aren't doing it. I'm sure they are. I just haven't seen it yet. But that may be really helpful to you guys. Or maybe not. Or maybe just interesting, because to me, psychology is interesting. Like, no matter how, no matter what the format. But anybody who doesn't want the help directly, that's okay too. I would just say, always consider the DSM-5 as a place to kind of find ways to make a character more interesting, because while it's something I do naturally, it occurred to me that's probably not normal, which I don't generally tend to be normal. But for real, think about it. Even when you just read it and you see, like, pulls out hair. Well, why not have a character pull out her eyebrows? Like, tell me that doesn't give another layer to the story. This, as she goes through the book, she's like struggling with, I don't even know how to say it, but trickle mania. I don't know. The point is, why not have that in a character? You don't want boring, flat characters, right? You want characters that have some kind of internal struggle going on. Well, the DSM is the place to get ideas. It's also the place to check your facts. Because I can tell you, as a therapist, when I read, and I read a lot, when I read books and I'm like, yeah, that's not how that pathology works. Or worse than that, when it propels or perpetuates a stigma, that sucks. Because people with mental illness are not necessarily dangerous, awful criminals. People with mental illness are just people. They are. And if you do your research and you use the DSM, you're going to build stronger characters, and characters that are really more relatable, more authentic. And you may even be able to, while you're there, kind of get rid of some of those stigmas. Because not everybody with anxiety sits there shaking. There are people with anxiety, yours truly, that are on YouTube, overcoming their fears. What's wrong with that kind of character? You'd be amazed at what you will find in the DSM. So I challenge you, use that as a tool. I think for like $5, you can buy a used copy, and I'll have to pull out mine on one of these videos and show you. I have a copy for work, okay? That's different. But I have a whole nother annotated copy where I will literally have the character's name and highlight the 7 characteristics I want to use. I will show their therapy sessions where they're diagnosed and say, but I don't have that. Why is she calling me personality disorder NOS? NOS means not otherwise specified. Why aren't I? But I think you're a narcissist. Well, my shrink said I'm not a narcissist because blank, blank, and blank. That all makes your stories richer. And I don't think it's a place that a lot of authors are looking. So, just an idea. Maybe right, maybe wrong, but a thing I do, and something I haven't seen mentioned before. So yeah, that's something I would say to check out. You can get them used for like $5 for real on Amazon. I think I've even seen them on Book Outlet. They even have like old DSM-4s for like $1. Not much has changed between the two versions. I'd still say go with the 5 because you know, again, some of the terminology's changed, especially if you're writing books about any kind of gender, that all those LGBTQ plus all that stuff. You want to be current, obviously. So that's important. But if you're just looking for your basic standard, like clinical depression and that type of thing, a DSM-4 would work as well. So that's my 2 cents there. I'm going to do some thinking on this. And if you guys in the comments want to leave any kind of questions or any kind of videos you'd like to see related to psychology in character building, please let me know, because I really can help with this. And again, you will never see me claim to be an expert probably on anything. But on this, I'm a wealth of knowledge. So, feel free to take advantage of it. I will talk to you guys soon. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you guys are getting through this whole quarantine thing that I've slowly found a way to accept myself. I'm back to the words. I've been self-editing, calling Mexico, and tomorrow I'm hoping to get a couple more chapters in on Drumroll for Dallas. And my goal when this whole corona thing is gone and well behind us, which that's going to be a while probably, but when it is to have those 2 books done, edited, ready to roll, and 100 subscribers on this channel. So, wish me luck. If you're watching this for the first time and you haven't subscribed, please do. That's literally my only goal. I just want 100 subscribers so I can make the little end thing say something like Crazy Train. I don't know. It's the little things, guys. I will talk to you soon. I hope you're all doing well. Until next time, peace, love, books, and crazy.